Hi, John Williams, Health Fitness Performance Training. I just wanted to take a few moments to share with you a couple of self-myofascial releases for the lower leg. To do those, we'll be using the grid foam roller. There are two particular muscles that I really wanted to focus on. One is the posterior tibialis and the other is the anterior tibialis. And both of these particular muscles in the lower leg play a huge role in decelerating the foot as it rolls inwards on foot strike through walking or running. Now, irrespective of whether we heel strike, mid-foot strike or forefoot strike, typically when our foot hits the ground when we walk or run, it will be inverted, meaning that the outside of the foot will hit the ground first, and consequently it rolls inward and our lower leg rotates in with it. Now, as that happens, what the body's doing here is absorbing our body weight and it's decelerating it, so it's creating like a shock absorbing effect. Now, for the body to be able to do that effectively, the posterior tibialis and the anterior tibialis need to have good elasticity and the ability to lengthen, so we have that shock absorbing capacity. Because we demand a lot of them through excessive walking or running, what may happen is these muscles get tight, they get tired, and they start to use their elasticity and their ability to lengthen, which can cause aches, pains, discomforts and those niggles, sometimes creeping into injuries, things like plantar fasciitis. So using self-myofascial release, it can be very powerful in keeping those muscles long and elastic. So to give you a visual illustration of where these muscles kind of attach on our lower leg, I'm going to use these two bands, one pink, one green. The pink we're going to represent is the posterior tibialis, and the green we're going to have represent the anterior tibialis. And this will give you a really good visual idea of where they run. Both muscles attach into the bases of our feet, like so, and they wrap up, one going posterior as the name suggests, and the other going anterior as the name suggests. And whilst they both insert medial, which is to the inside of the lower leg in the arch of our foot, they both actually cross the line of the limbs to go onto the outside. The posterior attaches sort of just behind the knee, and the anterior, you can see, attaches just up here in front of the knee. And it's together that they stop that rolling motion or decelerate that through lengthening. So let's do the roll. So when I sit down on a mat, use the grid foam roller and place our lower leg onto that. So we're on the fleshy part, on the sort of the soleus region just above the Achilles. And to really get this posterior tibialis, what we're going to do is roll our foot in about 45 degrees. And if you want a bit of extra load, you can put this on top to weight it. Keep shoulders batting down, pick yourself up, and just gently rock back and forward. You only really want to cover about 3 to 4 inches. You actually want to keep it below the gastroc here, the big bulky muscle at the top of the lower leg. Now, to help really lengthen this muscle out, we can just make small circles clockwise with our ankle, and that can help lengthen the tissue as well. Now, it's really important that when you do all your self-myofascial releases, you try and induce a relaxed state and breathe deep. What we call parasympathetic breathing, which induces relaxation, so in through the nose, out through the mouth. Now, as well as rolling back and forward and making the circles, you can actually roll the foot in and out, and as well as massaging the fibres up and down, you're now pulling them apart, which can separate them as well, break some of the bonds between to help them slide and glide as they should. Okay. So what we're really doing here is accessing the posterior tibialis right down at the bottom. Now we're going to get it right at the top. As you said, it attaches up by the knee. So we're going to externally rotate it for 45 degrees now and get it just below the knee. And we're just going to roll through this bit here. Now, what's important to be aware is we're not just really getting one muscle, we're not just hitting the posterior tibialis here, we are going to be getting some of the gastroc, lateral gastroc and other tissue behind the knee. And what you might find in these two particular regions is it's quite sensitive, quite tender. Now, tenderness scale, you really want to be getting something like a 7 or 8, or that's what you're really looking for. And if it gets more than a 7 or 8, it's probably too painful. You just want to move through those tender spots. 7 or 8s are quite good to work on. Tender spots around 2 or 3, probably don't need to pay that much attention to. So like I did with the lower leg there, as well as rocking back and forward, you can roll side to side to break those fibres apart. Okay, great. So that's the posterior tibialis done. As a reminder, inside 45 degree in, outside 45 degree out. So to get this anterior tibialis, what we can do is come onto our front, place the roller just on the outside of the leg here, just above the ankle, using our forearms to support. And you can see I've adopted about a 90 degree angle at the knee. And I'm now just going to roll through the tiny little bit of muscle that's on the outside of my shin up to my knee, and I'm just sort of moving it back and forward about a centimetre at a time, just massaging that tissue out to make sure it's got some length. And sometimes just shaking it back and forward a little bit, sort of friction in it, can be quite good because it can stop the muscle sticking to the bone, which it does sometimes. So again, it helps it slide and glide and it lengthen better, so it has that shock absorbing capability. Okay, that's brilliant. Ooh. So if you take the time to do that on both legs, that can prove very beneficial, and it can certainly help with that rolling in motion of the foot, so it decelerates that much better. Give them a try. Any questions, please feel free to email me, john.williams@hfpt.co.uk, and I'll be happy to answer them. Have fun playing with those.